B'Shem Hashem Na'aseh V'Nasliach. Welcome back, everybody, to our weekly shiur on the Parasha with the Perush of the Zera Shimshon. May the zechut of the Zera Shimshon be a menitz yorship for Kol Am Yisrael. Especially for the soldiers of Am Yisrael, may they all be safe and sound and come back home to their families safely. And may Hashem give a rafat nefesh, rafat guf to the injured and the sick. May Hashem bring out more miracles and bring the hostages home. And the zechut of the Zera Shimshon and all the tefillot should be also dedicated to the refuah shelema of Okay. Parashat Vayetze, Derush Yud Aleph, the 11th Derush of the Zera Shimshon. He brings the Gemara Baba Batra Perek Hey. Gemara in Baba Batra, the 5th Perek says, this is really interesting because he's going to bring a few different episodes that happen in the parasha later on. The Gemara says as follows: Vayaged Yaakov leRachel. Yaakov said to Rachel Imenu. Over here, the Gemara says when Yaakov Avinu went to Rachel Imenu and proposed marriage, he told her that he wants to marry her. Amrale, itli Abba Rama'a. Rachel turned around and said to Yaakov, I have a deceitful father. We don't want to compare this to anybody in particular today. We're just saying Rachel Imenu already knew what kind of a father she has, so she told Yaakov, listen, I don't know if you can handle my father. Right? Amar la umay ramuta. What Yaakov Avinu said to Rachel Imenu, what is his deceit? What are you afraid of? What do you think he's going to do? Amrale, she said to him, Itzli achata de kashisha minai velo min sivli mikamma. I have an older sister. He's not going to let me marry off before him. Right? He's going to want the older sister to get married first. It ain't happening. Right? Because he's Persian. No, I know. I mean, it's funny. Right? Eat your food. I mean, you see that this kind of tradition, quote unquote, is not new. It's very, very old school. Oh, my older daughter first. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying Rachel knew that even her father is not going to let that happen. Amar la achiv. Amar la. So Yaakov Avinu says to her, Achiv ana barama'ut. I am his brother in deceit. Meaning, I can handle him. I'll take care of it. Right? He's met his match. Amrale, umi share letzadike lesagoye barama'ut. So Rachel turns around and says to Yaakov Avinu, is it permitted for a righteous person to deal in deceit? You're going to be deceitful? I thought you were a good guy here. What are we talking about? So Yaakov Avinu says, yes. Because the pasuk says, Im navar titparar ve'im ikesh titpatal. With a pure person deal in purity, and with a crooked person deal with crookedness. It's a pasuk from Tehillim. Meaning, Yaakov Avinu said, listen, I'm not a trickster, I'm not a deceitful person, but when in Rome, if he's deceitful, I'm going to be deceitful also. I can handle it. What did he do? Masar la simanim. He gave Rachel Imenu simanim, secret signs. Some say these were not secret signs. There were actually different halachot that Yaakov Avinu taught Rachel, and she only knew the answers to the questions. Some say it was halachot Shabbat that he taught her and said, if I ask you this in this question, this is what you should say, so that I know that it's really you. So it was really their own secret language they had with each other, they only knew about. So this was Yaakov Avinu's way of not getting fooled. So he tells Rachel Imenu, okay, so you think he's going to switch the sisters? No problem. Let's have our own secret handshake, so to speak, and this way I'll know if it's really you or not. Ad kan leshono. Here ends the quote of the Gemara. That was the Gemara. So the Gemara says, Yaakov Avinu wants to marry Rachel. Rachel says, my father is a big trickster. You're not going to be able to handle him. Why not? Because he's going to switch me for my sister. Ain't going to happen. I can handle him. Here are some signs so that I know it's you. Great. So far, so good? Not so easy. We have to understand what was the intention of Rachel Imenu. Why is it that Rachel felt that tzaddikim or a righteous person is not allowed to act in this way? Why? Why are we asking this question? First of all, this pasuk that we just said from David HaMelech is a pasuk, and it's a well-known svara, it's logic. Right? It's pretty logical. She didn't feel like, okay, if my father is a deceitful crook, right? Did she feel that Yaakov should just take it? Like, it's logical that he's not going to just take it. He's going to come up with a way to swindle out of it also, or swindle him in his own game. It's pretty logical. Why would she think that Yaakov Avinu should just bear it? Why did she ask Yaakov that question? Like, are you allowed to be deceitful? Yaakov's like, with a deceitful person, yes. I mean, what's my other choice? Let him deceive me? Right? So the question here is, why did Rachel not think of this herself? What was her question really? Next, we're going to go into Midrash. From the Gemara into Midrash. Listen to this Midrash. There's a Bereshit Rabbah. Midrash says as follows. Vayesov Lavan Vayas Mishteh. So Bereshit Rabbah says, Lavan, after Yaakov Avinu working for 7 years for Rachel, Lavan makes a party, a wedding. He has a wedding feast and he invites everybody. And now here already Leah has been switched, right? It's Leah going in the wedding gown, full veil, right? So now we have a bedekin, or Ashkenazim have a bedekin before the wedding. He goes and checks her out, like, who are you? Who's under the veil, right? Sephardim do it when she's walking down the aisle.
That's why we do it.
Yeah. It's a minhag to check, to make sure, like, hold on a second, who are you? And some guys are still confused because with all that makeup, they're... Oh, wow. I know, huh? It's crazy. That was a joke. People listening in, that was just a joke. So it says, Lavan invited everyone and he made a feast. Kol ha'hilelia, listen to this Midrash. Kol ha'hilelia havatzavach la Rachel vehi anya leh. The entire night, Yaakov Avinu kept calling her Rachel, and she kept answering, yes. Now notice, it's Leah. Okay? So the Midrash says, that whole night, he was referring to her as Rachel. Hey Rachel, how you doing? I'm good, thank God. Thanks for asking, right? Betzafra vehi nehi le'ah. Comes morning time, and well, it's Leah, and it's been Leah the whole night. Amar la Ramayata bat Rama'a. Yaakov Avinu turns to Leah Imenu and says, you are a deceitful person, the daughter of a deceitful person. Meaning, like, how do you say that in English? Like, deceit bat deceit. You're a deceitful person, the daughter of a deceitful person. Like, you tricked me. Just like your father's a trickster and he's a crooked person, you did the same thing. Amar la, lav belelia kerina Rachel v'at anitli. Didn't I call you Rachel the whole time and you kept like answering to that? You were answering to that name, but you're not really Rachel. Amra leh, it safar delet le talmidim. Leah responds to Yaakov Avinu and says, is there like a safar, a Torah person, a Torah scholar that does not have students? What is Leah referring to? Leah was like, I learned from the best. You know how it is. What is she saying? Lo kach havatzavach lach avuch Esav? Didn't your father once call you Esav? What did you do?
Never thought of that.
Yo, drop mic. We'll hold it here. Right? That was, you know what I'm saying? Don't mess with these Esfahani ladies. They don't take Didn't your father once call you Esav? Ve'at anitle. And you answered him. You replied that you're Esav. So why are you questioning why I replied to the name Rachel when somebody did the same thing? At kan leshono. This is, till here is the quote from the Midrash. Kashe ale le'ah. But this is not so simple. It's a little difficult on Leah Imenu. Why? By the way, let me just put this as a disclaimer. We are talking about the patriarchs and the matriarchs. Okay? They are above and beyond malachim. These people were not normal. Chas v'shalom, to even have the inkling of a thought that chas v'shalom she was disrespectful or God forbid, or not at all. You will see these were, or else they would not be the mothers of the Jewish nation. Right? Leah Imenu was no simple woman. Kasha, but this is difficult on Leah Imenu. Are you going to tell me because Yaakov Avinu fooled his father, now she has permission to fool him? Okay, so you said good. Okay, good, you got him. But that still doesn't allow you to do what you did. If he did something wrong, you're thinking he did something wrong, you're going to do the same thing to him? How is that answering the question here? You're not really getting yourself out. So the Zera Shimshon says, Beyesh lomar, we can explain. In the first perek of Berachot, Rav Huna havole arba me'ad danet chamra itkiv. Rav Huna had 400 barrels of wine that all turned to vinegar, which is bad, no good. Because if you were a wine merchant, your worst nightmare is if your wine turns into vinegar. You're done, right? Something that was $25 a bottle just went to like $12 a bottle because it just went from $6 to $12 recently, by the way. At least the vinegar that I used to buy. So it just dropped in price. So Rav Huna, obviously, I guess he was a wine merchant, or that was one of the things that he did. And all of his 400 barrels, that's an investment. That's like a shipload of wine that just went sour. Amrule, the Chachamim that came to visit him said to him, Hachi shemi alan, this is what we have learned about you, what we have heard. De lo yahiv mar shabbesha la'arise, that the master, meaning Rav Huna, did not give branches to your sharecropper. Okay, so sharecropper was somebody that would come and lease, let's say you have land, an orchard. And what they used to do was sharecropping was that they would lease out their land, rent out their land, and part of the contract was that the person renting the land would get some of the fruits and the produce, and they would divide the produce. Meaning the guy renting the land, instead of paying for the land, would pay by getting the fruits and giving it to the owner of the land. He would keep half, he would keep half. That was called share. You're sharing. That was part of the contract. So the Chachamim tell Rav Huna, we've heard that you've been skimping the sharecropper branches, meaning branches had to also be divided. They were telling him that you took all the branches that were cut off of these trees, you kept all of them and you didn't divide those and give half of them to the sharecropper. That's why this happened. You were doing something wrong, therefore your wine turned into vinegar. That's what they were trying to tell him. Amar lehu. So he replied to them, Mira shavir li midi mineh. So he replies to them and goes, you think he left any branches for me to even divide? What are you talking about? Haganiv le kule. The sharecropper took all the branches too. Meaning he was telling them, no, my friends, that's not what happened. This sharecropper is a thief. He didn't leave anything for me to divide. So what did I have to do? I didn't bring it up to his face, but I would just go to the branches that I could get my hands on and would just take them myself. And that even it didn't even come to close to the amount of what he's already taken on his own. Meaning he was telling them that this guy on his own time, he's taking fruit, he's taking branches on his own. And then he goes, oh, we have 20 branches. You want to divide these? And the 20, like, let's say there's like 500 trees, there's like 20 branches left, which doesn't make sense. Amrule, so they said to him, Hainu da amre anashe, this is why people say, Batar ganava genov tama te'em. Listen to the words of the Chachamim. So they say to him, even one who steals from thieves tastes the taste of theft. Meaning they were telling him, look, you're right. The guy is definitely stealing from you. But the fact that you went behind his back and you were also taking things without dividing, you were also tasting the taste of theft. Which is not telling him in many words that what he did was wrong halachically. He had every right to do it, it's his land. But they were telling him, but what you still did, you shouldn't have done it. There were better ways to do things. This wasn't it. You shouldn't have brought yourself that low. Meaning, you're acting like a thief with a thief. That's not what a righteous person does. You got to figure out other ways to do it. Atkan. This is the Gemara. Nimtzenu lemedim she'af lemi shegonev lanu. We learn from here, from the Gemara, that even if someone steals from us, enanu yecholim lignovno, we are not allowed to steal from them. Behu adim berama'im. And it's the same with deceivers. If someone deceives us, we are not permitted to deceive them. We're not. No one gives you the license in halacha to deceive someone that has deceived you. I have to say, if you want to go technically about it, it's not so clear cut. It's like there is gray areas, and you will see some of it in this Zera Shimshon. Now, listen to what he says. He says, V'zu hayta kushat Rachel. This was the question of Rachel Imenu. What was Rachel Imenu asking Yaakov Avinu? Remember, Rachel said, you're not going to be able to handle my father. What are you going to do? Umi shara latzadikim lesagoye baramaut. Rachel was saying, wasn't that, okay, yes, it's logical. He's trying to swindle you, so you got to figure out a way. Rachel understood that. He was just saying, is it allowed for the righteous to act deceitfully, even though Lavan himself was the deceitful person, and Yaakov Avinu was righteous? She was basically saying, I don't think you should be acting the same way he's acting, even though you'd be allowed to. That's what she was asking Yaakov Avinu. Are you sure you want to bring yourself that low? Even though you're allowed to? Okay, my father is a charlatan. I don't want my husband to be one, or even act like one. I don't think you should.
But why are you allowed to? You just said that you can't. Because you just said that.
You'll see. You'll see what that means. For there, in the case of Rav Huna, the 400 barrels of wine turned to vinegar because of it was a similar situation. He didn't do anything wrong halachically. He didn't steal from anybody. It was his own to take. But the fact that he acted this way, the Chachamim were telling him, you acted wrong, And Hashem was trying to teach you a lesson. Hey, don't even act like a thief. Meaning, don't even steal your own stuff because you're getting a taste of what it means, what it feels to be deceitful, and that's too low for a righteous person. Righteous person shouldn't act that way. So Rachel Imenu was telling Yaakov Avinu, yeah, you might be right that you're allowed to, but I don't think you should. Right? B'teretz Yaakov answers back, Dehakera ketiv im geshtit patal. Says, but Yaakov Avinu answers, but there's a pasuk. The pasuk in David HaMelech says, meaning the pasuk in Tehillim, it says that with a crooked person, you act crooked. So even righteous people, it's proper to do it. How do we actually interpret this verse? So that it shouldn't be a contradiction with Rav Huna. Are you allowed to do it or not? Like you're asking. We have a pasuk in Tehillim that says you should act crooked with a crooked person. But then Rav Huna did the same thing and he got vinegar instead of wine. So which is correct? Are you allowed to or not? She says, we have to say, the answer is, as the Ritva says, the Ritva says, that it is permitted for the righteous person to use tactics. Notice the words are kind of similar. Tatzdeke, tactics. You're allowed to use tactics. You could use tactics to protect yourself from deceit. Use a way where the person won't be able to deceive you. To get out of it. That you're for sure allowed to do. Why? Because no one's going to tell you, hey, listen, stand there and take it. Okay? If someone slaps you on the right cheek, let him slap you on the left one. No. If someone slaps you on the right cheek, you better think fast because another one's coming. Right? That's what it means. Like no one says you should take it. No. Think of a way to get out of it so that the person is not able to take you for your money or take you for whatever it is that they're trying to do to you. But to actually deceive the person in another deceitful way, says that's asur. That you shouldn't do. That's what happened with Rab Huna in the Gemara. So it's not a contradiction, right? When the pasuk says act in the same crooked way, it means figure out a way that he won't know or she won't know that you'll be able to protect yourself. So in the case of Rab Huna, I guess it would have been like, okay, so I'm not going to steal my own stuff from this guy, so I'll put, I don't know, I'll put cameras and I'll be like, hey, new cameras installed over here for your own safety. Bye. Next thing you know, boy, do you have branches in your field. Right? No one's stealing anymore. Now, you protected yourself, and you didn't act like a thief either. You were protecting yourself. Ve'im ken, so accordingly, Kisha'amar Yaakov l'Rachel l'ramot leLavan, when Yaakov Avinu told Rachel his plan on how he's going to deceive, quote unquote, Lavan, which was by giving signs to Rachel, lo nitkaven ela lehizaher shelo yignov mimenu. What did he do? He didn't really deceive. He wasn't trying to deceive Lavan. He was just protecting himself. He said, okay, your father wants to deceive me and give me Leah instead of you. No problem. Let's come up with some code language so I'll know. So if that happens, I'll get up and go, sorry, no can do. You snooze, right. I mean, according to tradition that we have, everybody was screaming out Leah. But Umata. Now with Leah Imenus, right? Now let's go to Leah. We figured out Rachel Imenus. Now let's go to what Leah was saying to Yaakov Avinu. Umata Amar Yaakov leLeah. Now Yaakov Avinu turns to Leah a day later, the day after the wedding. Shani lo rimiti bach. I did not deceive you. Ve'at rimita bi. Yaakov Avinu is basically telling Leah, listen, I didn't play any tricks on you, but you played tricks on me. I didn't deceive you. You deceived me. And Leah Imenu couldn't defend that. That's for sure. Because If Leah Imenu was going on the fact that if someone's trying to deceive you, protect her, she doesn't have that. Because Yaakov Avinu was not trying to deceive her. So why did she go and do that? Even though she had no right. So, Amra le Leah. Leah Imenu says to Yaakov, Lokach tzavach lach avuch Esav. Didn't your father also call you Esav and you answered to that? What did she mean by that? Kelomar, mipnei mari mita avicha. Why did you deceive your father? Why did you do it? What was your reason? Listen, it's beautiful. Tzarich lomar shehoil shkvar kanita bechora me'esav. What had happened previously between Yaakov and Esav? Esav comes, he's tired after killing people. He comes home and Yaakov Avinu has made a soup, lentil soup. And Esav says, give me from the lentil soup. Yaakov says, no problem, I will give you, sell me your Bechora rights. Your firstborn rights, sell it to me. Esav says, who cares, what is this? What? Who cares about Bechora? Okay, you're the Bechor, okay, happy? Give me some soup. So Esav sells his Bechora rights, his firstborn rights to Yaakov Avinu. Meaning what? Halachically, who's the firstborn? Halachically. Yaakov. Yaakov is the firstborn. Esav, as far as rights, has no more rights to the firstborn. No more rights. He sold it. He gave it up. Vayivez Esav et ha-Bechora. It says that if you're, by the way, it's a great chidush here too. If you were thinking, oh, Yaakov Avinu was you know, he took Esav when he was on a down. You know what I mean? He was hungry. He had just come from war, literally the fight of his life. He was about to die. He says it in the pasuk. He's about to die. And Yaakov says, okay, I won't feed you until you give me. So like, if Esav had a choice, he would have been like, no. He didn't have a choice, right? What does the pasuk say? It says he ate, he was satiated. Vayivez Esav et ha-Bechora. And what did Esav do? He was disgusted with the Bechora. He's like, he lost, he gave it up. Why does the pasuk repeat it again? Just to let you know, even after he was already full, tummy was full, he was fine, he was still happy about the fact that I got a good deal. I gave him what? Nothing, firstborn rights, and I got myself a soup, safe and sound, all good. So Esav was happy about the transaction, not at all thinking that he was swindled, whatsoever. At all. He didn't feel like, he didn't care for it. Comes Yitzchak Avinu, he wants to give the brachot to who? Why?
Because he thought he was the firstborn.
He wants to give the firstborn brachot away to his firstborn, right? Who's really the firstborn now? The deserving person of the brachot? Yaakov. So Yaakov Avinu is basically saying, I'm not deceiving my father. I am the Bechor. He wants to give the Bechor brachot. I need to get those Bechor brachot.
Why not just tell him?
Good question. We leave that in the comment section. And why not just tell him? Honestly, I don't know.
If you want to know, come this Shabbat.
Yeah. I think come this Shabbat, and I think Gabby's going to be giving the speech.
It's marketing.
Thanks. There are different answers. One answer is that I don't know. Yitzchak Avinu was gvura. Yaakov Avinu was kind of, I don't know. Some people might say that he was afraid to mention it to him or whatnot, or they didn't have time. It could be.
That seems like a tactic, right?
What?
Like using tactics?
Not yet. Let's see. So now Yaakov is the firstborn, right? So he says, since Yaakov Avinu had already bought the Bechor rights, haberachot re'uyot lach. Lecha. The brachot you deserve. As we say, many of the Chachamim say that afterwards, when Yitzchak Avinu already had given the brachot to Yaakov, he said, Nusha June. You know, I'm glad I gave it to Yaakov. Right? It wasn't like when Esav came in and said, oh my God, I lost the brachot. Yitzchak Avinu didn't turn around and be like, oh, I'm so sorry. I wish I would have known. He didn't say that. He said, Gam baruch tiyeh. And he should be blessed. He didn't regret it one bit. So basically, nothing wrong happened here. Yaakov Avinu deserved it, and he got the brachot that he deserved. So he says, Va'ata asita orma. So Leah says, with all that, with the fact that you deserved the brachot, you still deceived your father. You still took this route. Why? It was all in order so you don't lose these blessings that were rightfully yours. You needed to protect yourself. These brachot were rightfully yours. For whatever reason, you didn't see any other chance to get these brachot. You took this route in order to protect yourself. Because you're the Bechor. Says, you wanted to marry Rachel against the traditions of our community, which is to give the older daughter before the younger daughter. You were going against our traditions. You wanted to marry the youngest daughter before the oldest. I worked as hard as I could to get what is rightfully mine. I'm the oldest daughter. I should be getting married first. I know that I need to get married first. So I protected myself just like you protected yourself. There was no deceit here. You needed to protect yourself and get the barachot because they were rightfully yours. I needed to do what's rightfully mine also, which was I need to get married first. And I would add, as we know from tradition, that Leah thought that she was meant to marry Esav, because he's the older brother. She was protecting herself and making sure she doesn't marry Esav, which makes the case even better for her. So Leah was saying here that her behavior was not evil at all. She was the older daughter and she was getting married first. So from here we see already that a righteous person is not allowed to use deceit to actually steal, but it's still appropriate to use whatever keen you have to protect yourself in a situation. And so far we see that Yaakov Avinu did that. Leah Imenu did that in return as well. Umata Taromet ben Lavan. Now we can understand the complaints of Lavan's sons. Hold the questions, please. The complaints that the sons of Lavan had, they were talking behind Yaakov Avinu's back saying, Yaakov Avinu got rich off of our father. He took everything our father had. All the wealth that he has amassed is from us. What's rightfully ours. What's rightfully our father's. Using trickery, taking money from us. Hainu shelavan ganav mimenu. But what were they really saying? The pasuk says like this. Lakach Yaakov et kol asher le'avinu u'me'asher le'avinu. They said it twice. Yaakov took what is our father's and what is our father's. What does the pasuk mean? Yaakov took what is our father's and what is our father's. Just say Yaakov took. They were talking amongst themselves. They were saying Yaakov stole from our father. Why repeat it twice? They were saying Yaakov Avinu took ma Hainu shelavan ganav mimenu. They were saying that it is true that Lavan stole what he has from Yaakov. And Yaakov also stole that back from our father. Meaning they agreed. No one disagreed that Lavan was a charlatan. Even his own sons knew. But they were just saying like, yeah, so what our father stole from Yaakov, Yaakov stole it all back. That's what he did. He stole it all back. So we have a problem. We said a righteous person shouldn't be doing that. You can't steal from a thief. Why act this way? Like we said with Rab Huna. Aval, however, the truth was not so. Ki Yaakov lo gazal mi Lavan. Yaakov did not steal from Lavan. Rak shenizhar mimenu shelo ya'akev lo sechar pe'olato. He just protected himself so that he doesn't lose his wages the way he's supposed to. What did Yaakov Avinu do? He was a genius. He was a genius.
But it's very sus.
What?
It's a little sus. What do you mean?
What? How else should you do it?
With the speckles and the spot.
So what did Yaakov Avinu do? They made deals. Said, speckled and spots, brown ones are mine. Regular, plain ones are yours.
He breeded them speckled and spotted.
And then he breeded them speckled and spot. How did he breed them? With genius ideas. He was putting things in their water. Every time they would look at speckled spots, they would give birth to things that are speckled and spotted. Right? But is that trickery? He was dealing with do you know how many times Lavan changed the deal? 100 times.
And he changed it every time also though.
Yeah, but because he knew who he's dealing with. Lavan kept saying, okay, you know what? All right, we said speckled and spots for you. I don't like that deal. I'll take the speckled and spots. You take the plain. Fine. I'll take the plains. 100 times he changed it on him.
7 years, another 7 years.
Why? Because he constantly had to be the one to have the overhand on everybody. And he didn't deny it. He didn't deny that he was a charlatan. He knew he was a charlatan. That's who he was. That's how he dealt with everybody. It wasn't just Yaakov Avinu. So Yaakov Avinu felt, okay, so fine. I'm not going to go in his house and take what's mine that he's taken from me. But here's what I'll do. I'll make a deal. He agrees with the deal. And Mamash, so many miracles happened for Yaakov Avinu also. It wasn't just that he's putting these speckles in the spots and stuff like that. You should see what miracles happened for him for these things to happen. So, Vezeu sha'amar Rachel ve'Leah. And this is what Rachel and Leah were saying about Lavan, their father. Halo, nochriot nechshavnu lo. When Yaakov Avinu came and finally came clear with Rachel and Leah and said, listen, all these years I've been working for your father's service. You know, he's done every crooked game in the book, every trickery you could possibly use, he's used on me, and he's still saying I'm stealing from him. I can't take it anymore. I don't want to do this. So what do Rachel and Leah turn to each other and say? What do they say? They go, he treated us like nochriot. We're strangers to him. He was stealing from us too. It's not like he was good to us. Right? He was stealing from us too. Ki kol ha'osher asher itzil Elokim me'avinu. Says, for all the wealth that God has taken away from our father belongs to us. It was all the things that he was supposed to give to us that he never did. And he took from us. Now we got from him. Hayar ra'ui lanu. We all deserved it. Velo ba derech genava. And it didn't come in the way of theft. Rak derech hatzala. But rather, they were all ways Yaakov Avinu protecting us and having success in the attempts that Lavan kept trying to trick him. וזוהי כוונת הכתוב, ואתה הלוך הלכת, למה גנבת את אלוקי? This is now the punchline. Yaakov Avinu runs away. They leave Lavan's home with everything. Now, what's missing? Lavan follows suit and follows them 3 days to find them. When he reaches them, what did Lavan want from Yaakov?
He's an idol worship.
Right, they had taken an idol from his home. Right? So he says, listen to how Lavan talks to Yaakov. He says, "Ve'ata haloch halachta, lama ganavta et Elokai." He says, you left, okay, but why did you take my God with you? What does that mean? Amar Lavan leYaakov. Lavan said to Yaakov Avinu, Bishlam ay malachta behechave shelo lahagid. I understand if you left in darkness of night, so to speak, in order not to tell me that you were leaving. Ki yareta ki amarta pen ani ese ezo mirma le'akevecha. Because you were afraid that I'm going to pull another one on you and keep you again, like I did for 21 years. I got it. Okay, good one. because you finally caught on that that's what I was probably going to do. So you left in the darkest dark night. Good. I'll give you that. Good job. So you basically pulled one on me, you acted wisely, and you left without me knowing, so I don't pull another one on you. Because you acted sort of a little bit crooked with the crooked. Yafe asita, you did good. Why did you take my God? So it was Lavan's way of saying, hold on a second, something's not fitting here. What you did to leave without telling me, you had every right to do. Good job. Well done. But hold on, something's not fitting. It's beneath you. You took something from me. That you don't do. You protected yourself from me, which is good. But why did you steal from me? Which Yaakov Avinu replies, I didn't take anything from you, because he had no idea that Rachel had taken it to protect themselves. But that's what the ta'ana of Lavan was. Lavan was saying, all these years, you never stole from me. That's not who you are. That's not how you do. You work wisely to make sure that I don't fool you, which is, again, you did so. But this time, hold on a second, you stole from me. And that's why Yaakov Avinu gets upset in this episode. And he says, how dare you? For 21 years, I went through all your, loops and whatever you said I did. And at the same time, with my hands behind my back, I had to make money and protect myself from you. Now you're saying I stole from you? And that's why Yaakov got upset. So we see the episode here between Rachel Imenu Leah and Lavan, Esav and Yaakov and Yitzchak, all of them coming together. That nowhere in the Torah does it say that a Jew should let people pull one on them. Nowhere. That's just unwise. No one should live a life of constantly being the underhand and being fooled and tusari chak. I don't know why some people feel that that's the righteous way. Sarta painkon, put your head down and let everybody ride you for the rest of your life. Who said that's not the righteous Torah way?
But it's a stigma.
No, it shouldn't be. That's not the righteous way. The righteous way is I need to protect myself and my family, whatever it takes. That doesn't mean I'm going to be like that fool or like that trickster or like that charlatan. I'm not going to stoop low. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I cannot let people take me for granted. I cannot, chas v'shalom. That's not the Jewish way. That's not the Torah way. The Torah never says bochor. The Torah does say that when a person is mevater, there's zechut. That's one thing the Torah says. What does mevater? Mevater means to let go. If someone did get the best of you, what do you do then? That is the greatest zechut there is in the Torah. How do we know? Rachel Imenu. Rachel Imenu, our matriarch, gave up everything and she didn't say a word. A word. And she's the only one that brings the Geula for Am Yisrael. She's the only one that Hashem says, Rachel, mini kolech mi bechi. Stop crying. Ki yesh sachar lifulatech. Because you have reward for what you've done. In your zechut, I'm going to save your children. Why? Because all those years, not once did you open your mouth and say, but hold on, Yaakov was really my husband. But hold on, why should I give up the love of my life? Why should I? You never, not once. So Chachamim say when a person is mevater, they bring yeshuot, not only for themselves, but for others. They bring so much good for everyone around them, including themselves. Why? Because Hashem says that is a godly thing to do. For someone to have been hurt by somebody, for someone to have been cheated by someone, and say, you know what? I'm mevater. Or you have rights. You had the right of way. You had the right of this. You had the right of that. And you go, you know what? Let it be. Let them have that right. It's okay. Let them say what they're saying. Again, if it comes to a point that it's going to hurt you, nothing says that you shouldn't protect yourself. You should protect yourself. But if something has already happened, and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to get him back, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. Instead, be like, you know what? I want bracha from my family. I want this sick person, lo alenu, to have refuah shelema. I want the soldiers of Emisar. In this zechut, I'm going to be mevater. I'm going to let go. I won't say a word. Oh, you know how much zechut there is in that? You know how much zechut? You know how powerful one person becomes when they're mevater? It's incredible how much our Chachamim tell us. When a person just says, you know what? I'm going to give in my rights. You know why it's so powerful? Because it's so difficult. It's so difficult when someone says something to you that burns you to the soul, and you have that perfect comeback to put them in place for life. And you go, thank you so much. And it's still burning inside you. Use that fire to pray for Am Yisrael. Use that hurt to pray for Am Yisrael. You know what you can do? You know what you can do? Instead of be like, oh yeah? You just lost it. What did you gain? Nothing. There's nothing gained. Nothing gained. That's why today, like in schools, my daughter was being taught this a while ago. In schools, they teach kids to be mevater, because it's such a good attitude to have in life. Don't hang on to things. Don't keep things in. Don't always be the one that's trying to be like, no, I'm not gonna lose to him, to her. No, garat karde. Like,
it's your Yetzer Hara. You need to learn from a young age how to fight it.
right. So you learn. You know what? I'll give in. I give in. I'm not going to get them back. I'm not going to speak back. I'm not going to do this back. You don't know how much zechut you have. There are people there's stories of people that have seen yeshuot. They've seen people that were hurt and didn't do anything back. And they ran to them and they said, please don't say what you're about to say. Please don't say what you're about to say. And they go like, why? I go, can you give me a bracha? They needed to get married. They needed to have children. I've heard crazy stories of 9 months later, baby. 2 weeks later, they found the. It's incredible. You have a lot of power. You have a lot of power invested in just being mevater like Rachel Imenu. And here, this is what we learn. The Torah is telling us that, yes, you should be mevater, but that doesn't mean if the next round comes about, you should just let it come. No, you have the right to work on a plan or something that, chas v'shalom, no one gets to hurt you. You shouldn't be a punching bag your whole life. You're allowed to protect yourself in the right ways and the right means, but at the same time, if it does happen, just say, Baruch Hashem, Hodu Hashem ki tov ki le'olam hasdo, that I have control over my emotions. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.